Aw, Lego, not you too. Why you gotta go out there and be so soft? S-A-W-T, soft. And look, calm down, folks. Let's just go out there and read what's been going on. We'll dive through the tail of the tape. We'll look at all the events as they have happened and come to a conclusion at the end, shall we? And if you disagree, or even if you agree, you can let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. That's what's so great about the internet. We can all get our voices out there. I'm just one of the guys going out there and making videos about it, so you're free to respond in any way you please. But today, we are talking about a guy who has been making headlines at the World Juniors for, not great reasons. And he's right here on Elite Prospects. It's Porter Martone, Michigan State University forward in the NCAA, and a top-tier Philadelphia Flyers prospect, drafted 6th overall in the most recent NHL Entry Draft. Martone is 19 years old, 6'3", 209, right-handed right-wing player, born October 26, 2006. Because he is 19, this stint of his at the World Juniors, where he is Captain Canada, will be the last World Juniors he's eligible to play in. And with Team Canada having played the games they've played so far, we're not going to get too deep into those, but let's just say Canada isn't looking maybe as dominant as they had in the past. Definitely more dominant than last year. Yeah, they couldn't score any goals last year, but this year, I don't know if I'm feeling it's Canada's year. I don't know. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Porter Martone, though, is the captain of the squad. He's got 1 goal in 2 games so far. The 1 goal he scored was an empty net goal, and there was a very particular attitude about it, which we will dive into as well. Before that, though, Martone had 98 points in 57 games with the Brampton Steelheads last year in the OHL, 74 penalty minutes as well. Really strong scorer, point-per-game guy, power forward, puck handler, sniper, and he's taken that talent into the NCAA, where he's at 20 points in 16 games right now. But pay attention to that right here. 16 games, 58 penalty minutes for Porter Martone in just that little sample. If you go over to the NCAA in its entirety, you will see that Martone leads the league in penalty minutes by about 9 minutes here over Tyler Duke. And things have gotten a little bit worse for him at this tournament. Because yesterday, it was announced by the IIHF that Porter Martone, captain for Canada, was issued a formal warning by the organization. Let's go out there and read this statement by Andrew Podnieks on December 27th, so yesterday. Martone issued a formal warning by the IIHF, the disciplinary panel of the 2026 IIHF World Hockey Junior Championship, Ice Hockey World Junior Championship, has issued a formal warning to Canada's Porter Martone stemming from actions that occurred during the warm-up prior to the start of Game 4, Canada versus Czechia, on December 26, 2025. Martone's actions violated IIHF Official Playing Rule 75, unsportsmanlike conduct. The disciplinary panel stresses that this type of conduct is unacceptable and that players must at all times be aware of and responsible for their conduct on the ice. Although a warning carries no suspension with it, it can be used in further disciplinary cases involving Martone to determine the potential level of sanctioning for any other actions. This warning has been determined in accordance with the IIHF Disciplinary Regulations, 2026 IIHF Supplementary Discipline Guidelines, and 2526 IIHF Official Rulebook. Now, the funny part is, he's getting a warning here for stuff that happened during the warm-up. I don't even know if that's the worst part about it. Let's go out there and read some of the comments on the R Hockey thread just to get a feel as to what's happening, and then we'll go over some of the other events here. Old Red Lobster Biscuit said this: as a Spartan in the NCAA, Porter Martone is extremely frustrating to watch. On the one hand, he's a very talented player, but on the other, he spends a lot of time in the box. He's basically the Draymond Green of hockey. 58 penalty minutes in 16 NCAA games is impressive, especially as a teenage freshman. That's right, you gotta love to see it if you are a Philadelphia Flyers fan. at warm-ups, hitting player with the stick, the butt grope goal celebration, and deciding not to do the handshake line at the end of the game. There you go, folks. That is your checklist over here of Porter Martone versus Czechia. Going out there and just kind of whacking guys during the warm-up after he had scored the empty net goal to really seal the deal for Canada in that first game. He ends up hitting the butt side of one of the opponents, and then no handshake at the end of the game. That is absolutely ridiculous. They got video footage of Porter Martone going out there, 7-5 Canada goal 2 nights ago, and you can see that after Martone celebrates with his teammates over here and he skates over to the bench, he ends up hitting the guy in the behind, and there is the video over here of him skating by and just kind of, tapping the guy. Of course, this is not painful, but it's like, is that really necessary? I don't know. Probably not. He touched the butt. A prerequisite to be captain in Philly. I've never been more in on a prospect since Lindros. Heated rivalry, Sally. Okay, we're gonna support CanCon in that way, eh? Canada scored 13 goals last year all tournament. They're more than halfway there in one game with 7 goals on that day. Classic Peterborough boy. Martone had a pretty undisciplined game for a guy wearing the C. Anyone who has watched him at Michigan State would have known that he's extremely undisciplined. The guys in the locker room probably love him, but he is a skating penalty. Brampton, too. The guy is very undisciplined. No kidding. Why is the captain doing that stuff? Wait until you see players like Brad Marchand wearing a C. Looked really sloppy and lazy all game, took 1 lazy penalty and 1 really stupid penalty. Not a great look for a captain, especially considering that penalties killed Canada last year at the Worlds. And so, with all this in mind, you talk about the butt grope goal celebration, him whacking one of the other players in the warm-up with his stick, and no handshake line at the end of the game. It's really starting to feel like this Porter Martone situation is going one of two ways for most fans. I'd say that there is the part of the fan base that says that, hey, this is not cool. Why is the guy going out there and leading this kind of a team? They seem super unlikable because they're not doing handshakes at the end of games. And then you have other fans going out there and saying, like, yeah, no, this guy's bringing attitude. This guy's bringing a certain level of competitive edge that we don't see often. And that's valuable. That's super cool. And we want to see that in Philadelphia when he makes his debut with the Flyers soon. And I think both perspectives do have a place to be talked about. It's just, I do think there is an element of sportsmanship that needs to exist and be held accountable to when talking about the World Juniors and international tournaments and guys that are in this age range going out there and making choices like whacking guys during the warm-up. Porter Martone is not 11, he's 19 years old, and he's the captain of Team Canada. And at the end of the day, it all falls on the captain when the team does dumb crap like not shaking hands. This is what Dale Hunter went out there and said on the no handshakes with the Czechs. You know something, though? I didn't know. But I know now, so there'll be a handshake tonight against Latvia, and I'll say sorry to the Czechs. So that was posted about as well. I think it's genuinely impossible for these teams to play a normal game anymore. Yeah, I feel like that is definitely the case. Tower Charming said, I feel like there now being 3 instances of this Canadian group being kind of like a-holes on day 1 is a bad omen. To be fair, assuming we're thinking the same incidents, 2 of those involve the same guy. But yeah, considering that guy's the captain mixed with this, it's definitely a weird look. So with all that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Following the Game 1 against Czechia, as well as Game 2 against Latvia, which wasn't nearly as dire, nor controversial, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Is Porter Martone becoming a problem for Team Canada? And does this spell bad omens for the rest of the Canadian result at the tournament? Do you think this will reflect poorly during his time in Philadelphia? What are your thoughts on Porter Martone as a player? Let me know in the comments all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.